Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is going to be just a little different than what I had originally planned. In light of the recent heartbreaking news involving Charlie Kirk, I felt it was important to pause and acknowledge the weight that so many of us are carrying right now. When senseless acts like this happen, it can stir up fear, grief, confusion, and questions that don't always have answers. My heart is to create space here today where you feel comforted and reminded that even in darkness, there is light, that God is near, and that faith, hope, and healing are possible, and we can lean into His promises together. So, in today's episode, I will be sharing from past conversations and messages that I believe will encourage and speak to you in this difficult moment. My prayer is that this time reminds us all that we're not alone, that we can continue to move forward with courage, compassion, and unshakable hope together. I think oftentimes, maybe the situation in and of itself, maybe you had no role in it. Maybe, it is the death of a loved one or a parent. And there are two options. We can either curl up in a ball and not live, or we can say, all right, how can I process this? How can I honor, acknowledge my feelings? How can I be true and let it out and express, but also live, also activate my thoughts, my decisions, my intentions, so that I'm not stuck, to be able to talk about these things, to be able to reflect on these things, to be able to share these things with somebody. I think that we can learn from ourselves. We can learn from others in situations. And what are we going to do? What are we going to do in that moment? And it oftentimes means just digging in your heels and saying, I've got to be strong. I can't be weak in this situation. I have to make decisions. I have to act. I have to move forward. I cannot be stuck here in this moment. And whatever that takes, whether it's counseling, whether it's talking to somebody, whether it is enlisting the support and the help of your own personal network, I think taking responsibility and taking action in the moment to do something, reading, praying, whatever it is, we must move forward. We cannot get stuck in the past. We cannot get stuck in constantly, kind of replaying the tape of woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. Got to move forward. So I think that has been very helpful for me. So there's growth there. And even in that growth can be some frustration, but it's like, what am I getting out of this? Am I growing as a human? Am I learning? Am I being stretched? Am I being challenged? Is there a reason for this? We all know that the greatest change that happens in our lives, the greatest impact is when it gets ugly, when it's dirty, when it's yucky, when it feels horrible. When it feels horrible, we tend to run from it. But I truly, truly believe that God gives us the horrible to make us better people, to grow us and to teach us things about ourselves and about life and about each other. And when I reflect on my life, all those easy, wonderful, and it great, this is wonderful. Yeah, those times were great and wonderful and lovely. But did I learn as much? Did I grow as much? Did I evolve? No, those are the moments where we get to coast after the work, and everything serves a purpose. One doesn't happen without the other. It's a constant up and down. It's a peak, it's a valley. It's a peak, it's a valley. And it's necessary. So my modality has been, all right, catch your thinking. If you're struggling, if it's hard, if it's ugly, acknowledge it. And here's the challenging part. And this is what I do. I, as you know, pray daily. And in my prayer, I will thank God for the ugly. And I know that sounds so counterintuitive, but I know He's using it to shape me in ways that I may not know or understand in the moment. And I have to honor that, and I have to acknowledge that and recognize the process. So I will say, thank you, God. Thank you for this hardship. Thank you for this difficulty. Thank you for this stress, this discomfort, because I know you're using it in my life to help me and to make me better and to make me understand and to see things and to be closer to you. So those are the things that I catch myself doing. And, you know, I mean, I think we have to slow down and acknowledge our thought process and to catch ourselves mid-thought when we are constantly harping on the negative. And it's time to say, okay, how's that serving me? What's that going to do for me? Take a deep breath. Read a passage of something that inspires you. Help you to feel a little bit more control of your brain and your brain space and what you're doing with it, because your thought pattern is so incredibly important and is the roadmap to where you're going to head in life. Your thoughts will dictate your actions. So be very, very good guardians of thought.
I always tell them, by trade, I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. And it's important to me to recognize that the way God created us, and we're beautifully, fearfully, and wonderfully made. Our brains are so dynamic in how we process information that we can have an emotion, obtain the messaging behind that emotion, and then think about it, reframe what we're thinking about, honor the emotion, and then we have free moral agency to choose how we react to whatever it is, the relationship, the argument, the lack of resources, the fill in the blank, whatever it is. We have been given everything that we need. And that's one thing that I always tell my clients is that I believe that what you think is what you feel is what you do. However, if we can isolate the faulty cognition or the faulty thought and shift it, and this is where I believe God's word comes into play and where it becomes so powerful in our everyday lives, is that if God said, don't worry, but pray, the big question is, can we shift from the fear that either originates here in the mind or here in the heart? Can we shift and say, as difficult as this is, God, as difficult as this, I'm going to step out on the water and I'm going to trust that in this situation, you're going to show up exactly the way that you've promised me that you're going to show up. And that isn't that the faith walk? That's the journey. That's the letting go, right? That's the, okay, I'm going to take my hands off of it as much as and you're like pulling it and yanking it. You're like, let it go, but it's a choice.
It is 100% a choice. And to your point, there are no baby steps in this process. You have to wholeheartedly dive into the deep end, and you've got to have faith and trust and see where it goes. And what I've also learned too is that my plan isn't always his plan. And so I can't, just because it doesn't turn out the way I had expected or anticipated, doesn't mean it's not being used to sharpen me and shape me in some way that I may not be aware of in the moment. And it could be a growing season for me or a growing opportunity. And I may not like it. I may release control, perceived control. We have no control over any of this, life, death. It just, to how we handle it. And you brought that up earlier. I will share with you, in my mother's passing, after she had her cardiac event at the restaurant, and I was behind the ambulance after they tried to resuscitate her and they got a heartbeat. But I remembered following the ambulance to the hospital, and tears were just streaming down my face. And I just remembered saying, God, as is your will, as is your will, as is your will. And I just felt so compelled to say that out loud as I was following that ambulance. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know anything, but I just knew that it was out of my hands and it was in his. And I had to honor that and respect that. But I will tell you, from a personal perspective, it was such a release for me in the process of her passing. And does it take away the pain? Does it take away the sting, the hurt, the sadness? No, but it takes away this feeling of I've got control over something that I really don't.
Hmm. Hmm. And believe it or not, that's the freedom. That's the freedom in
It
Christ.
is.
That's the freedom that God gives us, and
Yes.
the peace, the contentment. Paul said, in every state that I find myself in, I will be content. And
Hmm.
how can you be content in these very sad moments? And I do believe that God gives us a very deep sense of peace, a
Hmm.
very deep awareness of his presence. And like you said, it doesn't make anything go away. And that's one of
Hmm.
the things that I say to my clients all the time too. I can't even begin to tell you in the over, I guess, in the last 10 years, 2,000 clients that I've had, that we have in our database, how many people I've sat down with and they have wept bitterly because of, again, the complexities of life, the
Hmm.
messiness of life, the rejections, the pain, all of these things that we experience in life. It doesn't go away. However, there is a sense of peace
Hmm.
that comes when we relinquish and submit to God's perfect
Yes.
will.
Yes. And that right there is the word that needs to be put into practice.
Self awareness is
Hmm.
the first step, just being aware, because the reality is we think that we can control other people, but it's really self control that God demands of us. We have to
Right.
have, and it's a fruit of the Spirit. Self control is the fruit of the Spirit. And biblically speaking, the scripture says God has not given us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. And a sound
Hmm.
mind can be translated into self control, which
Right.
means being aware of what we're thinking, how we're feeling, and doing the real work of looking in the mirror. And again, not just because I'm a therapist, but I wholeheartedly believe in therapy, because, or
Hmm.
life coaching, if you have, or if you
Hmm.
have a spiritual advisor, getting
Yes.
outside of yourself so you can get all of the stuff, just like you and I are having this conversation right now. It's getting
Mhm.
all the stuff out, putting it out there on the table and going, let's sift through this and let's see, okay, we're going to put that on the shelf. Let's put this one on the shelf. Now we're going to let this one go. This one right here, we're going to let that go. Okay, we're going to throw that out, right? So going through that process, and that's one thing. The second thing is, scripturally speaking, the Lord encourages us to meditate and pray, to meditate on His Word day and night. I
Mhm.
strongly believe, again, and I said this before, God created us. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Our brains have this incredible ability. It's the process of neuroplasticity. So, what we put in is definitely what we get out. So, if
Mhm.
we are praying, if we are reading scripture, if we are meditating on His word day and night, what happens is we can change our brain structure for a more positive outcome. So that is important. So mindfulness. I
Yes.
say reframe. I
Yes.
use the word of God to reframe.
Mhm.
Some people may use affirmations, and but I like take God's word, turn it into an affirmation, and then use His word to
Mhm.
reprogram my brain. And so I think that is a process. Um,
Yeah.
and then another thing is community, having
Mm.
connectivity. Connection is a basic fundamental human need. We have to have it. And
Yes.
connecting in a way that will allow people to support us when we need to learn to let go. We have to
Mhm.
have that, people who we can trust.
Yes, so important. I like to think of our need to control as software and God's desire to get in and right the ship as hardware. And if we can just let that hardware come in, then suddenly all that software and stuff that we've been doing, we realize has been a total waste of time. If you saw my recent What I Eat in a Day video that came out on YouTube not that long ago, you'll know and remember that this product that I'm going to talk about is a big part of my ritual. No pun intended. I'm talking about Symbiotic Plus. It is a 3-in-1 literal powerhouse of clinically studied pre, pro, and postbiotics. All of those together support a balanced gut microbiome with daily use. Why is our gut microbiome so important? Well, let's face it, we are learning so much about how it's linked to our mental health, our immunity, and of course, our digestion. And that's where I am seeing the biggest impact of Ritual Symbiotic Plus. I am able to digest foods that I struggled with in the past. I feel way less bloated. In fact, my tummy is nice and flat, and I am super happy about that. And I don't have to worry about processing certain foods anymore. What I really love too, Ritual products are high quality. They're clean, and all of Ritual's products are vegan, GMO free, and they're tested for heavy metals and common allergens. Symbiotic Plus, it's a delayed release capsule that goes right to the colon, not the stomach. The colon is an ideal place for probiotics to survive and grow. You take it once a day, whether you take it with food or without, it doesn't matter. It has a great mint scent to it. So, hey, get your gut going. Support a balanced gut microbiome with Ritual Symbiotic Plus. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/over50. That's ritual.com/over50 for 25% off your first month. You guys know I love to live clean, and I'm talking about food and the things that I put in my skin and my hair. That also includes what's cleaning my house. Can I encourage you to get rid of all that stuff that's under your sink and switch over to Branch Basics? Not only will you be cleaning out your cleaning routine, you will be making it safe and incredibly affordable. It's so powerful, human safe, way more affordable than what you're going to find at your local grocery store. And when you purchase the Branch Basics starter kit, you get one big bottle of concentrate that makes 13 bottles of cleaner. That breaks down to just $3.25 per bottle. And you can use it for everything. I mean, bathrooms, kitchen, laundry, floors, windows, even washing your produce and your makeup brushes. You had me at makeup brushes. This is the way to go. The model will just make it so easy to keep your home clean year round. When you run out, you just restock on the concentrate and the oxygen boost. Perfect gift for any occasion as well. So think about that. So are you ready to kick off your back to school reset? Just head to branchbasics.com to shop the premium starter kit and save 15% off with code OVER50 at branchbasics.com. That's 15% off your new Branch Basics premium starter kit at branchbasics.com, promo code OVER50. Start fresh this season with products that are safe, simple, and actually work. Hey, we are just plain busy, whether you're a mom or a grandmom. We do everything for everybody, and sometimes our own wellness gets bumped to the bottom of the list. Well, let's talk about Live It Up Super Greens. What a great opportunity for you to incorporate this in your daily habit. You get all the greens and the health that you need without the hassle or the fuss. You scoop, you mix, you go. Can you do that? I know I can. You've seen me do it. So whether we're tackling maybe drop off at school, conference calls, or stuff around the house, let's make sure we check this box. Live It Up Super Greens is an all-natural blend of more than 20 superfoods formulated with organic vegetables, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and naturally derived ingredients. Just one scoop a day. You know what you're going to get? Good gut health. You're going to support your immune system and have energy so you can tackle every single thing that's on your list. And look, I know it's a lot. I love my Live It Up Super Greens, and you will too. Live It Up is offering you 15% off your first order, including subscriptions with code Flourishing. Plus, shipping is always free. Head to letsliveitup.com/flourishing and use code Flourishing for 15% off your first Super Greens order. Head to letsliveitup.com/flourishing and use code Flourishing for 15% off your first Super Greens order. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Let's talk about that balance of receiving the gift of a listening ear and comfort, as well as sometimes needing to be alone so that you feel.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah.
You need that time to. It might be reminiscing about your time with your loved one, or just crying.
Yeah.
You know, crying is a natural process that the Lord has given us that is connected to our heart and our grief. Jesus wept when he lost his friend as he was here on earth. And so it's a natural process, and I know some people that want to hold that in, and sometimes you need to scream. There's all different feelings that you may experience, and so you need that alone time sometime to do whatever you see that you might need to do to relieve that.
Was there a specific moment or epiphany for you that helped you in handling your grief that you feel this audience should know about? Because it's a journey. I mean, you don't get over grief, you get through it.
Right.
That is something that I have repeatedly heard. And you say everybody's different and every walk is different, but is there something special that has guided you in this walk?
Well, of course, my faith is strong, and I knew my mother, my father. I walked through both of those seasons in my life, but when it comes to Matt, it's unnatural. That's the first thing that kind of comes to your mind. That we're not supposed to lose our children.
Yeah.
So the journey and the walk's a little different.
Yeah.
Sherry and I are very close together, and we share our times together and grieve together.
Let's talk about those other layers and things that we can do and seek, because grieving can lead to prolonged mourning, which can be unhealthy and not let you live your life.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Yes, you definitely want to seek help if you're not getting past some of it. You can't let grief take over your life.
Yeah.
One thing I think I shared with you the other day was, I heard from someone years ago that to try to take our pain and turn it into purpose. I told the Lord when Matt passed away that He took him home. I said, I know there's a purpose. I want you to show me that purpose. And He has been faithful in many different ways. But yes, if we experience a loved one or a friend that cannot just seem to get out of that haze, I guess you could say, that they do need to seek other help. But just like we've said, it's a journey, and it's a long journey.
Yeah.
Close people to us, loved ones, I don't think they ever leave our heart. So the journey is going to be there. So we need to seek whatever help we need to keep that journey straight. And be able to live effectively, because our loved ones are not going to want us to do that, be swallowed up in our grief. And I think sometimes we're fearful to approach someone that has experienced loss, but we shouldn't be. I want to encourage people that are around others that have lost, that are in grief, that share with them. You know, if you have an experience with a loved one, you like to hear it, you know. I know, just as we've shared, there's a number of people that shared about your mom.
Yeah.
And you even have those in recorded.
I do, and it's
And
beautiful. It's a gift.
It's priceless.
Yeah.
You know, those are things that you can, even when you're alone, you can sit back and look at.
And I think what's so special too is we have our own memory of the person that we've lost, but everybody else has a different one.
Right.
And so when you hear their story, it adds to the person.
Yeah.
It's a perspective and a dimension that you may not have known or seen in how they touch somebody else.
I usually recommend them to just say, I'm sorry for your loss, and I want to be here for you. You know, if you need a hug, need some water, you know,
Right.
Need me to fix dinner for you, or buy you some dinner, or wash clothes, or, you know, help around the house. There's a number of different ways that we can serve people in a time of loss that helps us too, you know, because we want to help. Generally, if you've got a good friend that's hurting,
Yes.
you want to be there for them, but sometimes don't know how.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think those acts of service and kindness and presence are the door openers.
Right.
And they can either lead to just quiet time appreciating a meal, or it could lead to a full-on conversation about the person who has been lost. But it's at least an open and a safe way to get in without being intrusive,
Yes.
or without maybe saying something that could be hurtful or off-putting. So I love that. I love just the gift of presence.
The Bible even tells us in Ecclesiastes there's a time for everything.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of reminds me sometimes of in the grieving process that you know, we there's a time to live and there's a time to die. A time to dance, it says, you know, time to laugh, and those are all things we need to take in mind when we're going through our grief.
But one of the things I learned through those early days is that if you allow yourself or challenge yourself to really step into your fear and make your fear your strength, God will meet you there and help you do that. Something powerful about verbally saying, the Lord promises he will never leave you nor forsake you. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that God has a plan for you, a hope for your future. He will not harm you. You know, God promises to complete the work he started. When you're repeating, I can do all things through Christ,
right.
you know.
Yep.
Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Like those scriptures are not just
Words.
writings and words.
No,
Those
they're
are
not.
promises.
That's right.
So in those moments where God required me to pour into other people, I was also hearing back the truth that he was giving me, and that was uplifting me. And then I feel as though God needed me to understand hurt, brokenness, and pain at such a deep level so that now I can step into that with other women and other young ladies. He also needed me to understand the depths of deception, the depths of spiritual warfare, how real that is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people at that time came back and said, well, gosh, are you upset with God, or has it destroyed your faith? I said, what?
How could it?
It actually deepened my faith because I have now experienced how far God will go to reveal things to you need to know when you need to know them. So it stripped me of wanting to know everything. Being an investigative journalist from the beginning of my career, I know how to find out information.
Right.
But it required me to trust God. I don't need to go searching. God, you're going to show me what I need to know when I need to know it. Am I going to receive it is the question. And am I going to respond according to how you are teaching me and how you are calling me to respond in those moments? A lot of that was forgive again. Forgive again.
Were you able to forgive him?
Completely.
Yeah.
What you did is not okay, but I am giving you to God.
Yes.
God was going to handle that, and God will, because he says that. He promises us that, you know. And we may not see it. It may not happen the way we think, but we are saying that I trust God to handle this, so I don't have to carry this. And God tells us that.
Right.
We are not to carry all those burdens.
It is not our burden.
It's too much.
Right.
So, and if we hold on to unforgiveness, we're going to suffer the consequences of what comes with unforgiveness.
Yes.
The burden of that.
Well, and it's mental, it's physical, it's spiritual. It permeates everything in your body.
And my message always is, 'cause I know there's ladies watching and listening, and there's probably some ladies who can understand what I'm saying, is if we don't forgive, we are going to carry it. And when we do forgive, please remember, you're not saying it's okay what they did. What you're saying is, God, I trust you to handle this situation and to handle this person. We don't have to do that. We can be released of that, and we can go on to what God has for us. Everything in your life is there for a purpose and a reason. Nothing's random. And whatever God has for you, he's preparing you to get there. So never lose hope, never give up, and never lose your faith, because he is with you even in the lowest moments. He's right there, and he will show you.
He will. And he wants to use you
Yeah.
to be an example. He wants to use you to share your wisdom and to spread his word. And that's what I love about these platforms. That's what I love about just the commonality that you and I have, is that we are, and people will always say this, you're not afraid to talk about your faith. And I'm like, afraid? It's the first thing I'm going to talk about, because
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
Exactly. It's why everything is. So I'm grateful that there is that comfort. You sometimes open your pantry and think, how am I going to consume all of those vitamins and minerals that I take every day, getting maybe, 10, 15, even 20 pills down? That's a tough task, but what's even harder? Consuming through food the actual vitamins and minerals that you need. Well, let me talk to you about Grunes. Grunes are a convenient, comprehensive formula packed into a single snack pack a day. Now, this isn't a multivitamin, a greens gummy, or a prebiotic. It's actually all of those things and then some at a fraction of the price. And bonus, it tastes great. Generic multivitamins, they only contain about 7 to 9 vitamins. Grunes, they've got 20 plus vitamins and minerals and 60 ingredients, which include nutrient-dense and whole foods. They've got 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. That is 3 times the amount of dietary fiber compared to the leading greens powders. And this is going to blow your mind, more than 2 cups of broccoli. Who can consume that? Who can digest that? I personally can't. That's why I struggle and take Grunes. It's impossible to be able to get in all the foods that you need, let alone can your stomach handle it. Grunes ingredients are backed by more than 35,000 research publications. I love it because I know I'm checking all my boxes, and it's so easy and delicious to get a pack of Grunes in a day. Please visit grunes.co, use code Flourishing at checkout for up to 52% off your first order. That's gruns.co, and use code Flourishing for up to 52% off your first order. There is something about a love story that takes your breath away, not because it's perfect, but because it's impossible. Imagine finding the person you were meant to be with in the very place designed to destroy you. Imagine choosing love when everything around you was hate, everything designed to strip away hope. That's not just romance, that's survival, that's destiny, and that is exactly what I felt watching Bao, Artist at War. This movie stayed with me long after I watched it. Yes, it is a Holocaust story, but at its heart, it's about love, the kind of love that keeps you alive. Joseph Bao wasn't just a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp. He was an artist, a dreamer, a man who risked everything, not only to help others escape, but to keep love alive. And then there's Rebecca, whose courage matched his own. Together, their story is proof that even in humanity's darkest hour, love can light the way. And I'll be honest, in the end, I was in tears, not from sadness, but the sheer beauty of their love. Bao, Artist at War, directed by the incredible Sean McNamara, opens only in theaters for a limited run beginning September 26. Visit baomovie.com, BAUmovie.com, to watch the trailer. Learn about Joseph and Rebecca's real-life story and find showtimes near you. For me, this wasn't just a film. It was a reminder that love isn't fragile. Love is fierce. Love can outlast even the darkest days. Joseph and Rebecca's story proves just that. Are you frustrated with the number on a scale? Do you dread stepping on that thing in the morning only to see a number that absolutely ruins your day? What do you say you ditch the scale? I've made an exciting discovery that's going to help you do just that. I have stopped focusing on weight, and I put my energy into reshaping and rediscovering my body's true potential. Creatone by Brickhouse Nutrition was created by doctors specifically for women. Creatone helps me look more toned, defined, and sculpted without increasing diet and exercise. Yeah, that's without increasing diet and exercise. Now imagine if you're like me and you throw that in and you take care of your body and you eat right and you move it, what creatone can do for you. Creatone is radically different from men's creatine. It's designed for women with pure creatine and patented ingredients that reshape your body so you look leaner, trimmer, and more toned. No water retention, no weight gain, and no bulking up. And it boosts metabolism to help you burn fat. Isn't that a plus? Break your bathroom scale now. Watch how fast creatone can help you look leaner, toned, and sculpted. Let's get you started with 20% off your first order. Visit tonetoday.com. Use my code FLOURISHING for your discount. Again, use my code FLOURISHING to save 20% at tonetoday.com. That's TONE today.com. I was so touched by the words that were expressed. I kept every one of them. And what I also loved were people's interactions with my mother. Mm-hmm. And they shared with me little stories, little nuggets of Audrey moments, mm-hmm. and what they will remember from her and their takeaway. And as I was saying to you, it was this added story about my mother and seeing her in somebody else's eyes. And it was a beautiful, it touched me in such a powerful and profound way. And I think about this and I think, what a lovely opportunity. You all may not know the person who've passed, but you know the feeling, you know what it's like. And are the letters that are being sent to the women, are they tailored toward the specific type of loss, like loss of a mother or loss of a husband, and sharing in that way?
They are and they're not.
Okay.
They are geared toward that because that's part of the story, mm-hmm. Elizabeth's loss, but in the story, in the letters, there's a combination of both. So she lost her husband, mm-hmm. and she lost her mother.
Right.
So within the story are very true elements that actually happened, mm-hmm. and then there's also part of the story that would part of the letters that would relate to anybody going through that type of loss, of any loss, really. So that's within the scope of the letters, too. So they relate on a level according to what we're hearing, because we're already getting some feedback. People who have not lost a parent, but have lost a husband, relate. People who have lost their parents, or have lost a husband or whatever. People going through divorce are relating to it because it's also a death.
You bet.
Of sorts. People who have lost a child are relating to them. So there's a lot of elements in there that relate to both.
Can you give me an example? I know you have some letters with you, and I would just love for our audience to hear some of the words that are being written.
So if you're going to ask me to read these, I don't have my glasses with me.
You want my glasses? Here you go. Trust me, they're all over the apartment.
That's the one thing that
and they match you.
That's hilarious. Okay, so, I'll read one.
Okay.
Hello, my new friend. I hope so much this finds you well. I just wanted to reach out to let you know how honored I am that you've trusted me enough to invite me into your mailbox in your life. I'm truly looking forward to growing and sharing with you, and I hope my letters will provide you with loving support and perhaps inspiration as we journey together through life, loss, and the complicated process of overcoming. Truth is, this time of life can be difficult and at times scary and downright painful. But as I'm being forced to find out, it can also be invigorating, exciting, and thought-provoking as we face our fears and grow past all the limitations, pains, and struggles of our yesterdays. As you may or may not know, I lost my husband, John, rather unexpectedly 6 years ago. Then just recently, I also lost my very best friend, my mom, to an unexpected cancer diagnosis, just as we were relocating together to Idaho to begin again. Now I'm beginning again by myself. Not at all what I expected. Yeah. So, and it goes on about her daughters.
Yes.
And
but so beautifully written and personal and sharing the depth of that where I think anybody can relate. I love this story. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Death is very much a part of life. We can't live like an ostrich with our head in the sand and pretend like it's not going to happen. But God still has us here to live. And therefore we must live while we're here, or else we're not doing ourselves or him any favors. Right. And I think,
or the ones we've lost.
Or the ones we've lost. Do they want to see us here, not living anymore? And I think, grieving and the process is so important. It's such an important thing to work through. There are so many great ways to do it. Letters from Elizabeth I find to be phenomenal. I just think it's such a great way to connect. And it shows me the power of connectivity and the power of not feeling like you're alone, which is why I love this work on this platform, is to make women not feel alone in whatever aspect of the journey they're in. My heart is full today, Sandra, having you on December 11th, what would have been my mom's 88th birthday. And we're talking about grief today, and we're talking about a beautiful way that you and your co-founder have created to help people through the grieving process with these exquisitely written letters that come in the mail. Wow, imagine that in today's day and age, a handwritten letter coming in the mailbox, sharing personal stories of grief so that you don't feel alone in that process. And I'm going to share and have Sandra share how you can subscribe to this service, as we're in holiday season now. My goodness, what a beautiful gift for somebody to give somebody who has experienced a recent loss. I mean, yes, flowers are wonderful. All these things are wonderful. But this is the gift of connection that continues and holds somebody's hand as they're going through one of life's most difficult scenarios.
And that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for, as a matter of fact, several of our subscriptions have been gifts. Because they're not going through the grieving process themselves, but they know someone.
Correct.
So that's been a nice little gift that they've given to them. We've gotten great feedback from the people who have received them as gifts.
I bet you have.
And it's just that touch without being invasive, without being intrusive. And it's just been a really good thing. It's very simple for them to subscribe.
Okay.
They just go to our website, lettersfromelizabeth.com.
That's easy.
And on there it has subscribe. Go there, you put your email address in and your information, and it normally takes about 2 weeks, you receive your first letter.
Will you grace us again with another passage from your book as we close it out today?
Yes, I sure will.
Great.
This is toward the end of the book. And I'll just read. I won't really give any background, but I teach my students that the way we leave a yoga posture is more important than the posture itself. The longer the hold, the more breaths we take in it, the more necessary it is to transition out of the pose slowly. Not unlike life, I say. The more years in a career, a house, a relationship, the more care it deserves upon exit. So that we don't hurt ourselves on the way out. So that we move into the next pose with full presence, clarity, and a clean slate. So as not to drag where we were into where we will be. Pay attention and give your full devotion to leaving, I say, before it becomes a memory. But when looking back, as I often do these days, it is easier to access the heroine who came to the other side from my experiences and flourished, but not as easy to recall my slow crossing of the bridge. It is easier to access the life lessons gained, but not the messy, slobbering, snot-filled tears while learning them. I'm able to picture the flashes and clips and blips, but I can barely recall the whole reel. The smell of my grandma's wet paint, my son's newborn breath on my chest, rainwater seeping into my feet through the holes in my shoes, a smoke and a song. Memory is not a timeline of events. Memory lives in layers of gooey marrow, porous bone, slippery synovial fluid. It hides in soft connective tissues and bunion feet, inside the creases of our knees and hair follicles. The mind often forgets, but the body remembers. Is freedom from suffering found in letting go, as the ancients and my mother insist? Or is it found by digging our heels deeper into the earth and remembering our humanness? To remember, to remember, to reunite the members, to collect all the bits and pieces of our brokenness into one whole again.
Wow. Bravo.
Thank you.
Bravo. Sherry.
Dear Dominique and Vic, this is a question regarding how to deal with feeling like you are waiting for the other shoe to fall. When things are going really well and I'm feeling God's presence and I'm feeling that things in life are working well with relationships and work and just life in general, I get this nagging feeling that something is going to happen and it keeps me from feeling like I can really enjoy my life. It often does work out that way, which makes it harder because it reinforces the angst. I will go through a period when things are well and going fine, and then something really hard comes along. I just want some advice on how to really enjoy and feel peace during the good times versus having that pit in my stomach. I'm not sure how well I worded this, but I hope you get the sense of what I'm asking. I really appreciate and value your input.
Well, you worded it very well, first of all. And I know this is a difficult answer, but it's one none of us can escape. There are things coming for all of us. It is the nature of our broken world. Nobody escapes it. We won't escape it. Nobody escapes it. But the good news from the scripture is that God promises to walk with us through those things. A lot of people think that Christianity means some kind of a rose garden, and that God kind of magically cleans up everything and then it's just all smooth sailing. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. And the scripture makes that very clear. There will be trials. There will be heartbreaks. There will be difficult roads. God doesn't promise to wipe them away, but he promises to walk with us through them. And what is to come in eternity far outweighs the difficult times that we will experience here.
If this video touched you in any way, if you heard yourself in any of the words, boy, I hope you take a moment, take a pause, a beat, and reflect. And I hope just as a society in general, we can do better. We should do better for ourselves and for the younger generation. Remember, we're supposed to set the example. We're supposed to set the tone. We're supposed to set the temperature in the room. Let's be better at it.